pa pa ella, ella, pa 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 ella, pa 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 ella, ella.
Hello everyone, I'm Kaniqua and this is Locally Louisiana. Listen, we have got so much to bring your way today, so let's get right into the good stuff. Our first guest is a new friend of ours, but she is a longtime friend of the library. As a matter of fact, she's a member of the group Friends of the Jefferson Parish Public Library. Welcome, Marie Orth, to Locally Louisiana. Marie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you so much for having us here. We're delighted to be with you.
Oh man, I am so excited to hear about Jefferson Parish and the things that the public library has going on. So explain to us a little bit about the Friends of the Jefferson Parish Public Library. What is that all about?
I'm so glad that you asked. You know, through our lifetimes, we are exposed to the library. When we're children, we learn about doing research and those kinds of things, and we learn about the magic of books and the places it can take us. Well, then as you grow up, you want to continue to support that in some way. So the Friends organization is an organization of members and volunteers who do things to raise money to support the library and things that their budget doesn't allow.
Wow. Oh, that is super exciting. Now, tell us, how long has this group been around? And I've heard you've raised a pretty significant amount of money. Tell us about that as well.
We do. As far as I know, the organization has been around probably since the 1980s. And I apologize, I don't remember the lady's name who did start it, but it started by collecting books that were used from the library, I believe, and found that we could sell them. We could find good homes for these used books. And so it has grown. It started out, we had a small place where we sorted the books that was along Causeway, then it moved to another offsite, and now we have grown where we are located in the East Bank Regional Library on West Napoleon. And so we get books from all of Jefferson Parish, and then we sort them, and we have fundraisers where we sell the books in our big book sales. We sell them in our gift shop. We have Amazon sales and eBay sales for really special things. And over the years, we have raised a substantial amount of money. To date, we've raised about $2 million.
$2 million?
Yes, we have.
Wow.
Yes, we have.
How exceptional. Congratulations.
Thank
That
you.
is amazing.
We're very proud of that.
You should be. That's huge. So how long have you been a member yourself?
Well, I joined the members quite a long time ago without being a volunteer because I was still working. But after I retired, I was able to take on a more active part. So I've probably been active with the organization since around 2016.
Wow, that's incredible.
Thanks.
Now, tell us a little bit more about this huge event coming up. I'm super excited about it, but it's the big book sale.
We have a big book sale twice a year. We have one in the spring and we have one in the fall. October 25th through the 27th, we will be out at Pontchartrain Center out in Kenner. We have probably 70,000 books. We have CDs, DVDs, children's books. We have everything you can imagine, and they're for the most wonderful prices. There is no admission charge, so please come in Friday, Saturday, they'll be open from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. and then Sundays they open at noon and they'll be open until 5.
Now, if people wanted a little bit more information, I know, again, we're going to have that QR code for you, and I know you have this. Let me grab it really quick. We have friendsofjeffersonlibrary.org.
Exactly, that's a good place. And we have a phone number, 504-455-2665, that you can reach us.
Oh my goodness. Well, I am super excited about this. I want to thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure to meet you. I cannot wait to see you again. And come back and see us again.
Thank you for having us.
Of
We were
course.
delighted to be here.
Yes, and check out this big book sale, October 24th,
25th to 27th.
25th, 26th, 27th. That's the Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the Pontchartrain Center. Oh, super exciting. Thank you so much, Marie.
Thank you.
Locally Louisiana, we love highlighting local businesses. And one company in particular is making headlines on a national level. Vascutin is an all-natural supplement that helps promote vascular health. And it's based right here in Franklin, Louisiana. Recently, Vascutin made an appearance on Your View's Main Street Living. And in case you missed any of that conversation, we have it here for you now.
We're going to look into an issue that hampers millions of Americans.
Yeah, vascular health is paramount to overall health. And for those struggling, an all natural supplement may be just what they need, Q. The supplement is called Vascutin.
Wow, and joining us right now is Gerard Fournette, who discovered this formula in 1952, Cheryl.
Yeah, so, Gerard, how did you come about discovering the formula for Vascutin?
In the year 1947, I got in a bad accident that affected my left leg, caused all the veins in my left leg to protrude, and of course they hurt. So I had to live with that all through high school and college. And after college was about over, we had to do a paper, senior paper. And when I saw one of the topics was varicose veins, well, naturally, I jumped on that. And look, I got to pat myself on the back. I did a lot of research, did a great work, got a big A+, and I came up with a beautiful formula. After I graduated, the Korean War was on, went to the Army, and finally I had to go to work. After standing up for 2 weeks, my legs hurt so much I could hardly stand it. I couldn't wait to get home and put my feet up. And then I said, wow, what about that formula that you discovered at the university? So I went home and dug it out. I still kept it, fortunately. Dug out the formula, had it made, started taking it. And in 16 days, not only did all the veins in my left leg go back in, but the pain went away, even to this day. That's how it got started. And one lady came in, about a week after I took my pills, and she was complaining that the doctor told her she had to wear these heavy stockings and put her feet up for 2 or 3 hours a day for the rest of her life. And she said, Jerry, I can't do that. I've got 4 kids. I just can't do it. I said, Mary Morgan, would you like to try something? She said, sure. I gave her a bottle of Vascutin, and 18 days later, she came back with a big smile on her face. Her legs were perfectly all right, no pain, and the veins went back in. About 2 months later, a man from Opelousas called me, said that he wanted a bottle of Vascutin, so I sent it to him. Well, he called me back about 2 weeks later, and he said, Mr. Fournette, you don't know me, but I'm a non-compliant diabetic. I'm 5 feet 4 inches tall, I weigh 189 pounds, and I have an ulcer on my leg clean to the bone. The doctors gave me every prescription they could think of, put me in the hospital for 10 days with bariatric treatment. Nothing worked, and they said they'd have to amputate my leg. He said, I have to tell you, I took a bottle of Vascutin. The doctors looked at it in disbelief and said, we don't have to amputate. The ulcer is actually healing. That really made my day. And that's really how Vascutin got started.
Okay, so this is where it gets interesting, right? You started taking it yourself after you began your career, and then it worked. Did you realize the impact that it could have on overall vascular health?
No, actually I didn't, because at that time I was just looking at varicose veins in a very narrow market. But after my wife went to nursing school, she pointed out to me how much Vascutin can really affect the vascular system. And with that knowledge, then we really started to promote Vascutin. A lady from Houston, Texas, Miss Connie Winkler, was diagnosed with panlobular emphysema. She went to a doctor in Houston. He had about 5 or 6 other students with patients with the same indications, panlobular emphysema. He told her to go home, get her affairs in order. She had about a year to live, get on oxygen and stay in the house. Well, she heard about Vascutin. She called me, asked for a bottle, for 3 bottles, which I sent to her. She lived 16 years after this doctor's visit, and all the other patients in her class with spondyloarterial emphysema died. And that really gave me the motive. Well, she's the one that said, this is too good to keep in Franklin. You got to get this out to the world. And with that, we started to really promote Vascutin.
So once you realized that you could take Vascutin out into the world, how important was it to promote that it is made of all natural ingredients?
Well, that was a big, big blessing, because not only did we realize that you can take Vascutin with almost any and all prescription drugs, but being natural, it had no side effects, and people were a lot more open to taking it because of that fact. So you can take Vascutin on a full stomach or an empty stomach, and I don't care how many prescriptions you're taking, 10, 12, 50, 100, you can take Vascutin without any problems. And that is a big plus, because that is the first question that 90% of the people who are on Vascutin ask: can I take Vascutin with my prescriptions? And the answer is yes, you can. It will not interfere at all with the prescription drugs.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing. Now, lastly, how rewarding has it been over the years to see countless friends of yours or even strangers benefit from the product that you created?
Well, sir, that's one of the things that bring me a lot of joy. That these people taking Vascutin are sending in letters thanking me for helping them, thanking me for curing whatever they had. I walk downtown in the supermarkets, church, grocery stores, and I always meet people who thank me for producing Vascutin and taking it. Now, in all the years, the many, many years that we have been selling Vascutin, I have not yet had my first complaint. The most important thing is not money, it's not the medicine, it's people. There's nothing more important than people. I put that first, the good Lord takes care of the rest.
If I asked you about your socks, you might think that I'm kidding around, but seriously, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? For some folks, socks are just the annoying piece of clothing that always gets lost in the dryer. Am I right? But for thousands of people in our country, and most importantly, our community, fresh socks are a luxury. And the gift of a small pair of socks could be a huge opportunity for someone in need. So, how can you help? Well, that's where our next guest comes in. They can be of service. Let's welcome Jana Hart-Black, the founder and executive director of Bonfolk, and Kimberly Ha of Bonfolk Giving Good. Welcome, ladies. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having us today.
Yes. Now, Jana, tell us a little bit more about yourself and how did this idea of Bonfolk come about?
So I'm a New Orleans native. I went to Archbishop Chappelle High School. And then once I graduated high school, I wanted to move out of state to go to fashion design school. So I've always wanted to have my own company, and I was actually doing women's wear, women's dresses for a while. So I moved to Los Angeles to go to FITM, the Fashion Institute out there, and then ended up living out there for 10 years. Designing for a women's clothing brand, but I always wanted to do more with my skills and my life and do something super fulfilling than fast fashion. So I took a trip home to visit my family and realized that nobody had socks. Like, there was no other sock brands out there, and I found out that socks are the #1 requested item in shelters. So I thought about it. My husband's a photographer, so we kind of joined forces and started Bonfolk in 2015, where we donate a pair of socks with every pair that we sell to nonprofits across the country.
That is amazing.
So,
now,
thank you.
I see these amazing socks in your hands. Tell us a little bit more about the socks that you use and you design, right? I hear you design them. And then there is a nonprofit attached to this as well?
Yes, so this is one of our top sellers. I brought this one out in 2016, and it's just been a fan favorite. Everybody loves the beignet and coffee design. Now we have over 150 designs that I do all myself in-house. We also make custom socks for different brands, like we did Preservation Hall this year. We did the RTA, the streetcar, the official streetcar sock, which is super cool because our logo is the streetcar. So it's inspired by our city. And then for every pair of our streetcar socks that we sold, we donated a pair to the Harry Thompson Center through our nonprofit. So we just launched our nonprofit last year. So we just made 1 year with Bonfolk Giving Good, and every pair of these that we sell, we give a pair to Giving Good, and then Giving Good distributes them to nonprofits across the country.
Wow. I was going to ask, tell us how that works. So I'm interested in a pair of beignet and coffee socks. So I buy those socks, and then from there is a pair of socks donated?
Yes.
Are those all Bonfolk socks as well that
Yes,
are donated?
so we made custom socks. Kim could tell you a little bit about those.
So the cool process about Bonfolk is you can find them in locally stores like Flirty Girl and Dirty Coast. Also, we're also in the Ogden and Noma. Also, if you're flying out and need a gift for your families, you can find us at the airport as well. But the cool thing is that every pair of socks sold, either adult or children's socks, we donate a pair of adult socks and we donate a pair of kids socks. So a lot of our biggest partners locally is, I'm pretty sure you know, the Mission of New Orleans, Grace at the Green Light, they come and pick up quarterly, and then we also, Harry Thompson Center is also a big partner of ours. So we donate probably around 5,000 pairs of socks monthly. Wow. But in total, since the beginning, Jana and I have donated over 835,000 pairs of socks. So we're so grateful that that socks are such a big need. And when I started with Jana, I just started as a coordination donator. And then last year, she was like, it's my dream to make us into a nonprofit. And we became a nonprofit. And since the nonprofit, we've learned about so many different nonprofits. It's not just like shelters, it's also inner city schools. We also donate to disaster relief efforts, because you know hurricane season over here, when cities get torn up, like we always donate to them. We also donate to transitional facilities. We also donate to hospitals for cancer patients. So our socks go past the initial idea, and it's great because we just learn about the needs that the people need.
And it's nationwide.
Nationwide, we ship all across the country.
Hey, did you notice? We've done some redecoration here in the studio during commercial break. Pink lights behind me for, well, you guessed it, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It's a disease that can be detected early, and the treatment technology has advanced by leaps and bounds in recent years. Our friends at Baton Rouge Clinic are leading the charge in the fight against breast cancer.
My name is Everett Bonner, and I'm a breast surgical oncologist at the Baton Rouge Clinic. Breast cancer is pretty prevalent in women. In fact, it is the #1 incidence of all cancers. 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed in their lifetime with breast cancer. That's about 11% of the population. And so what's important about Breast Cancer Awareness Month, it's just a reminder for women to get their annual mammogram. And that's why it's very, very important to get it, mainly because early detection saves lives. We know that women who get detected in stage 0, 1, or 2 have somewhere between a 90 and 95% cure rate. And so that's why the mammograms are so important, and why it's very important to get those done on an annual basis so we can catch those cancers early, and we can make a big difference in your treatment plan, as well as decreasing chances of having to go to chemotherapy or more aggressive type treatments. There is a concern on women on getting an annual mammogram. Is the discomfort of mammograms. Now, I can't be naive to say that it's not uncomfortable. However, the benefit of the small amount of discomfort that most women will have, some women it's more severe, but most women don't have a big issue with it. It's a very quick exam. Nowadays, with our newer techniques, the compression is not as intense, and with a 3D mammogram, we can get a lot of our imaging, not have to spend a whole lot of time getting multiple images. We can do it all in one shot. And with the 3D, we can actually see through dense breasts, and so it limits the amount of exposure, and it also limits the amount of time that those breasts are in compression. There's been a lot of controversy on when women should start doing their mammograms. We have found through our societies and data that 40 is the age that we should start doing mammograms for average risk women. You know, women who have a higher risk, who have family history or other risk factors that increase their risk of breast cancer, genetic mutations, exposures, they should do their mammograms earlier. And that's a good way to talk with your doctor of when you should start. If you're not of average risk, which that age is 40, if you should start years earlier. One of the misconceptions about breast cancer is that if I don't have a family history of breast cancer, if I don't have a genetic mutation, I'm not at risk. That's actually a false statement. 80% of all breast cancers are women who have no family history or no genetic predisposition. So knowing your history is important if you're a higher risk when to get screened, but also even if you don't have a family history and no one in your family's had breast cancer, you're still at risk. Like I said, 80% of breast cancers are in women who have no family history or genetic mutation. One of the greatest things about especially early detection is that when you have that call and it's an early detectable cancer, you have so many great treatment options for these patients, and their survivability is in the mid to high 90%. And so even though I'm giving them very bad news, there is a lot of hope and a lot of good treatments out there that these patients will survive. And that's one of the greatest parts of my job, is when after I give them that diagnosis and we go through the treatment process, and then we can tell them, hey, you're cancer-free and you're cured. That's one of the greatest benefits of having this job and being a cancer doctor. You know, one of the great things about Baton Rouge Clinic is the uniqueness of the people who are taking care of you from a breast cancer standpoint. We have the latest and greatest 3D mammogram, which is the state of the art for cancer detection. One of the other things that's very unique about the Baton Rouge Clinic is that most of our mammographers are either breast cancer survivors or a high-risk breast cancer. So they get their mammograms done usually every 6 months, if not every year. So there's a unique relationship between the person who's doing your mammogram. They're also cancer survivors or high-risk patients. And so there's a bond there with the patients that come to the Baton Rouge Clinic. One of the other things that some people may not know is that I'm the breast surgeon at the Baton Rouge Clinic, and my wife has had breast cancer. So we have an intimate relationship with our patients because we've been there, we've been on your side. And I think that's what makes Baton Rouge Clinic special, getting your mammograms and getting your breast care here, is that not only are we the providers, but we also have our own family members who've been diagnosed with breast cancer.